Hello and welcome into the week 4 of Ember's Cinder League. I'm Isaac. Alongside me tonight is Jack, and we are bringing you tonight this matchup between Jolly Rogers Calypso's Calamity and Phantom Troop Lucifer. Two teams looking to try to separate themselves towards the top.
Yeah, certainly, and I think that this is an important week as we get into the groove here. Are we Wisteria and Vanguard?
Yeah, that's the other really big match tonight.
So I think that it's really important going forward, especially seeing as we have streamed. I don't think we've streamed either of these teams yet. So, oh, well, then I'm wrong, or I'm confused by the matchup. Either way, I'm happy to be back in IBSG, man. I've been doing all these damn masters, and they're throwing barons, and it's inexcusable. And here, this is where we get the good stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely tends to be bloodbaths in IBSG, and one player specifically that really does influence these sort of kills a lot. We're looking to the side of Phantom Troop Lucifer's jungler. Rapid Sammy has been one of the premier players so far throughout this league, especially on the Pantheon. Has been a big thorn in the side for every opponent for Lucifer, as that's something we would look forward to as we get into the draft here in Game 1. Starting out now, yeah, that Pantheon. Ooh, uh, 4G Sports Vanguard is not playing tonight. It is Jolly Rogers Calypso's Calamity. Or are we? Wait, are we doing? Wait, did the broadcast and match change? Wait, this is also the Ember League icon. Wait, the Emerald League icon.
All right, so the
Okay,
icon
update.
team icons are correct. We are doing 4G Sports Vanguards taking on White Lotus Wisteria.
Never mind. Uh, oh right, that changes a lot. Now this is truly a match at the top of the team, top of the league. Both these teams sitting 3-0 on their seasons. Both both undefeated so far, and so okay, mindset flip.
I got you. I got you. I mean, this is not only these top two teams, but Wisteria has a roster that has like big time performers. They've got clutch pocket pits. They're performing really high. Chubby Chernobyl to support, highest assists per game in the league. Dahmer in the top lane, second highest kills per game, highest gold per game. But when you look at the side of Vanguard, it's a lot more experience, a lot more solo queue prowess, and a lot more counter pick potential. So seeing them on blue side this first game, I think they're gonna have to secure a lot of strong picks.
Yeah, and actually on the side of White Lotus Wisteria, two champions that I've been saying need to be banned against this team are the Amumu for dragging it out, and the Mordekaiser for Dahmer. Getting those two off the board, it's just a necessity. Just get them away. If you aren't banning them, you're on blue side and you're first picking it. That's just how it goes with Wisteria. And on the other side, Wisteria going to take away the Misfortune and the Tarek.
Yeah, I think that that kind of blends the two lanes that Helium Bamboo would go. Oftentimes, really liking a lot of these enchanters, but if you look at what Vanguard has been doing, it's a lot of engage, it's a lot of dive, and I think Tarek fits well into the realm of like has some heal potential, has some protection, obviously has a lot of protection with the ultimate, but also can find a lot of CC, can find a lot of roots. First pick now, out of the bands, a lot of 80 carry bands thrown at Vanguard, and I get it. Traxon, one of the most interesting, quick little looks I did at a solo queue. All of his champs played have orange KD8. Like, this guy does not die in solo queue. And right away grabbing the Sivir, the new build brings this champion on a lot sooner, and I'm excited to see how Traxon can handle it, as it is immediately responded by one of the most played champions for Wisteria in the Seraphine.
Yeah, Seraphine definitely. I mean, it's the ideal champ for the way Wisteria likes to play with those, like, pretty much get into a ball and press all your buttons and win. Very strong team fighting, and also the answer with Ashe is a very potent combination with those two, being able to set up the snares and stuns on Seraphine very easily with how many slows the champion has. And also because, I mean, the whole side of White Lotus Wisteria, they don't necessarily need the ADC to be doing the most amount of damage in the game. Both mid and top have been notoriously large in that department.
Yeah, I also like the shift towards more of a utility-based AD carry when you have so much CC already. The Nami response, it's something that I think, well, certainly in Helium Bamboo's route, I'm surprised didn't just pick up the Soraka, which is much more played for them. I love the Jarvan pick. You know, Reich's, I didn't see a lot when looking through the OP.GG, but I looked back into the matches we did here that we streamed from them, and there was that Jarvan present. I talked about this a couple casts ago, but I think Jarvan, a lot of people were really tunneling in on like, well, is there someone I can Cataclysm and make them stuck? And once people realize like, well, he's really good outside of being able to do that. He's just really good in general. And now you also get, you know, two champions that have no way of getting out of a Cataclysm if they're caught. And I think Sejuani is a good answer, but I feel like with bans going into this second phase, they're going to be able to really pinch what they're able to do in the solo lanes to synergize well with that Sejuani.
Yeah, and especially since how much that White Lotus Wisteria really does like their solo lane prowess. Giving them later it's understandable, especially the counter pick, but it does mean that pool can be pinched a little bit more as well. You're going to be taken away from the side of Forge Esports, Vanguard, and and Wildstar there in the top lane. Something that they were joking about first buying the why am I forgetting the split push item? Oh my god.
Helmbreaker.
Helmbreaker, yeah. They were joking about earlier on the podcast, and then fucking your. I'm inting. Give me a second, but the Malzahar, so Malzahar. Funny thing with White Lotus Wisteria is that this is actually a flex pick between mid and top.
Yeah, so I noticed that.
So taking that away, it seems like an odd choice at first, but makes sense considering the opposition.
So annoying because they could pick Malzahar on 4, and then you still don't know what's going where. They just get to decide, counterpick anything. Renekton, good, safe pick. I also like giving Canadia that last pick because their pool, Canadia's pool is a bit slimmer than Dahmer's, and I feel like giving Canadia the choice of one of their really practiced picks can be valuable in the last pick, and also just picking up Renekton here. Synergizes great with Sejuani, really safe lanes. You already have, you know, Yorick set, Urgot, all gone. So it's going to be hard for them to find like a perfect counter. I wouldn't expect anything too crazy. Jax does well into the Renekton. Pretty decent synergy with Jarvan, a lot of follow-up CC, so not shocked there. And then for mid lane, we're probably just going to see some basic. I mean, Mel would be really great here. I think Azir would be fine. I wouldn't be shocked if they went for... Yep, there it is, the Mel. Yeah. I mean, just Sejuani reflects, Crystal Arrow from Ashe, the Encore from Seraphine. Just a really great Mel angle.
Yeah, and not a lot of really dangerous reflections either for the side of White Lotus Wisteria. There's no, like Blitzcrank or Nautilus that really throws the spanner in the works for Mel, and so yeah, just generally a really solid angle. It's a fairly common Akira Minai champion, and fits that sort of mold perfectly fine. And so the counter pick for White Lotus Wisteria, what is the selection that they go for Canada here in R5?
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Asol here. Asol or Diana. I feel like they're too decent. Not too much reflection from Mel. And there, okay, I got the mid lanes right. I got both mid laners correct. Asol, I'm not sure how that star beam works with the reflection. Just because the reflection is only for a brief period of time. So I'm not sure if it would just like cancel the channel and spit some damage back, or if it would completely start channeling backwards. I'm not entirely sure. But I know that they can't reflect the ultimate. So Mel can at least avoid the damage from the ult. I don't know if Mel can make the ult their own and make the knock-up hit Wisteria. So we'll have to see. I'm curious.
I'm guessing because it specifically reflects projectiles that the AoE like fire breathing. I forget the other name on the top of my head. The W from ASOL. I'm going to guess because it's not a projectile that it wouldn't get reflected and just have the damage reduced. Or I mean negated. Is similar to the ultimate. It's not technically a projectile in terms of like League of Legends definitions. Yeah. Even though like on your screen it looks like it moves down, it's like a flying thing. It actually just stays in one spot and doesn't move. And so like by League of Legends' rules is not a projectile, as weird as that sounds considering like the animation and how it looks. But no crazy reflection options there from Mel into the ASOL, but still plenty of moments that Akira Minai can have by pressing W and outplaying.
Yeah, and also Vanguard not only having that reflect, but also the spell shield on Sivir. Gonna have a decent Mikhail's Blessing angle for Nami. I feel like Vanguard really got a great composition here. You've got really good front line, you've got good pick potential, you've got decent engage, great follow-up, and it's going to be on the shoulders of Canada and Voltic on the other side. I think his Ashe is going to have to really step up and find good angles here.
We'll have to wait and see how that plays out, but we are getting into the game right now. So we've loaded onto the Rift for Game 1 between Forge Esports Vanguard and White Lotus Wisteria for what promises to be a very exciting series.
One of these teams going to leave without their undefeated records they came in with. And like I mentioned earlier, we've gotten the opportunity to stream both of these teams before. Both of them obviously picking up victories. Both of them also having suffered one loss throughout the course of the year. Wisteria came against Sabretooth for Vanguard, came against Pup Patrol. Both of their sole losses came during Week 1. They have not lost a single game since. So it's going to be interesting to see how this first game plays out.
In a bit of trouble now, getting a little bit too far forward, trying to find a ward, not respecting the possibility that Forge Esports Vanguard could have been there and waiting. Will have to flash away, and straight away, Chubby Chernobyl will have a target on their back.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough start without that flash, because if you were playing just a basic 2-on-2 double-ranged bottom lane, it would be pretty easy for Seraphine to abuse the fact that they have many more ways to reliably land damage on the other two ranged opponents, but now without the flash, have to be much more careful. You get hit by a single Aqua Prison, you are going to take so much damage. And speaking of so much damage, Dahmer starting after a pretty good chunk from that Counter-Strike.
Yeah, you know, Jack's level 1 into the Renekton. That's basically how that's going to go every time. But as we look around, these two junglers starting on opposite sides of the map will be the Ricks starting to move towards that top side. So it'll be a little bit longer before they visit Chubby Chernobyl there in the bottom lane without that flash. It'll be a little bit before we get to that. Meanwhile, dragging it out, heading from top to bot, essentially looking across the map from each other.
Yeah, good wards in that middle brush bottom lane. Again, in these double range matchups, really important. Again, pretty much anytime you're facing a range matchup, you want to get that middle ward. Now Rick's in position.
Going to be the little 2 flag drag finds will take 5. We're going to have to flash, and that's a lot of health gone on this Ashe without flash as well.
Yeah, really well done. Obviously, no vision of the Jarvan. As we see, fight to the death in top lane.
Oh, yeah, they're going to go for it straight out. Wildstar going to find the 1v1 kill solo. Bolo, first blood going over the Wildstar has definitely been one of the highlight members of this Forge Esports team, and showing it early on here in game 1.
Yeah, just kind of able to, I don't even know if bait's the right word, but obviously you see Renekton commits to that all-in, uses the Kulamik without having enough fury to get the healing back, and knows there's no escape. Smartly doesn't use the flash, knows they're just dead, so just takes it. So now, teleport back to lane. Jax is going to be able to back and walk, so still has teleport. Coming up with the Sheen. If Ricks can get themselves in a good position here, this could be a really devastating gank top side. And while, yes, Renekton will have Slice and Dice, not having any real threat there. But now you see Dragon on the same side of the map. And also important to mention, you see Dahmer has the press the attack, so not going to scale as well into the game as if they had something like Conquer.
Yeah, but you didn't mention how Dragon Out is here on the top side of the map. There's one thing that Rix did do with the passing. Speaking of Rix, they're trying to find a potential gank right here, but the wave's not really in a position to easily go for it. But with that gank earlier into the bottom lane, starting on the bot side going up, does mean that Dragon Out does get the double crabs over this Jarvan. We'll have that extra farm. We'll have that extra tempo on the map to be able to get out first and potentially look for a gank in which that Rix cannot respond to. But even though there's no flashes on either the bottom lane members of White Lotus Wisteria, there's a potential advantage to White Lotus in this moment.
Yeah, they saw Sejuani walk over multiple, or at least one ward in that brush now cleared out by Sejuani. They're going to be able to utilize this tempo advantage they have to grab the Dragon. Jarvan just come out of base. Mel's pushing the wave up, and bottom lane getting zoned by just the Ashe, so probably not going to be a contest as Jarvan continues to just farm it downwards. This is a pretty good moment for Dragon on this Sejuani, because typically the stress Sejuani faces is early in a game, having to go down camps, sacrificing farm to affect the lanes. In this game, we've only seen the one kill top. Rix did get a flash bottom lane, but for now, Sejuani able to be up and farm, grab the first dragon, and now in a pretty good position to affect bot lane.
Yeah, Traxon and Helium Bamboo actually in a little bit of trouble, but the ward there in the lane brush, able to spot out what was coming before anything bigger comes of that, and we'll be able to save both their summer cells in that. And also gives Rix a little bit more time to maybe come mid lane. Canadian are going to get snared up. We're going to have to use that extra movement speed to hop on out of there before the flag and drag comes down.
Yep, good timing by Canada, doing pretty well in this matchup.
Oh, whoa. Speaking of Canada, they just flashed there in the mid lane. Not going to have that in the 1v1 against Kiramanai. Looking to trade the summoner spell there. Kiramanai looking to potentially find a kill, but just not quite getting it.
Yep, flash for flash. I think you're probably fine if you're Aurelion Sol there. You have access to more mobility than Mel, obviously. And we're seeing now in that matchup the couple times that we have panned mid, as looks like Sejuani tried to get some pressure there for Aurelion Sol. Mel, the rebuttal, reflect W is just throwing the Arcane Comet back at Aurelion Sol and negating that damage, so not able to turn the Breath of Light against the Dragon. As we kind of just take a moment to breathe, taking a look across the rift. Identical CS for the mid lane and AD carry of Vanguard, as Wildstar finding another really good trade up here. This could be bad.
This could be really bad for Dahmer. Oh no! Flash away from Dahmer. We'll have him taken down, and the response flash from Wildstar will be what picks up the kill for the top laner, and yet another solo kill going over to Wildstar.
Yeah, this is not a great situation for Wisteria. Luckily for them, if this Jax continues to kind of get out of control, they do have pretty good wave clear late. If Ashe picks up a Runan's Hurricane, going to be risky because Jax can easily just all in and get a kill there, but you should be able to clear waves pretty effectively. And Aurelion Sol is one of the best wave clearing mids in the game. As you can see, you just throw down the singularity and all of the minions get pulled to the middle. Easy kills. As seeing the shift up here, they want to grab these Void Grubs, and a good job of controlling objectives despite falling a little bit behind in terms of kills and gold. Now, looks like we might have contest here.
Yeah, this is definitely what White Lotus Wisteria likes to do. They always go for every single objective. Almost every single time they get the first 3 without any sort of trouble, but this could very well be a contest from the side of Forge Esports Vanguard. Rich is here, will get that 1 grub, so it will not be the quick objective stacking for the side of Forge Esports Vanguard. And they do, frankly, commit a lot to it. We're not done just yet. Tidal Wave comes through, picks up Fury. The Cataclysm traps everybody. Akira Manai gets the kill, and 4 goes down. It's the triple for Akira Manai with only Wildstar going down in return, and the shutdown is picked up by Chubby Chernobyl. So of all the members that kill goes on to for White Lotus Wisteria, it's probably the one they want at least to go on to. And Forge Esports Vanguard on the backside of it, just really well played in that fight.
Extremely well played. I was curious for a moment what was the cause of the hesitation. Even when Wisteria exited the pit, there were a couple moments where they could have landed a massive Cataclysm, but they were just waiting to trap them, completely collapse, 3-man Cataclysm into a 3-man Counter-Strike, hit by that Tidal Wave, snared up by Mel. And like you mentioned, all of the kills going on to Mel is massive. You really want to accelerate this mage into the game, getting towards that now completed Blackfire Torch, first completed item in the game so early on. And now Helium caught out.
Is in trouble. That's just not where you're supposed to be. None of the members of your team are near the river, and it's just an easy collapse for the side of White Lotus Wisteria onto the Forge support.
Yeah, figured 30 seconds before Dragon, probably not going to be here yet.
Wildstar, yet another solo kill. It's going from bad to worse up here in the top lane for White Lotus Wisteria.
Yeah, and it's not going to stop anytime soon unless Dahmer gets some crazy assistance from a turret or Sejuani pops up here. Really not going to turn around anytime soon. Not only just because of the matchup and Jax being able to avoid the W stun from Renekton so well, but also just the play.
Here, Enchanted Crystal Arrow drops the Tidal Wave, only finds Chubby Chernobyl, and Dragging out on the counter gank has arrived. Chubby Chernobyl's looking fine, and Helium Bamboo and Ricks are low, and as the teleport comes down, Dahmer's trying to turn this fight around. That's going to be Ricks going down very early on, and a second kill will be picked up by Dahmer in the 2-4-0 for White Lotus Wisteria.
They had the teleport advantage, and they do not hesitate to pull the trigger. Great decision making by Dahmer. Wildstar is heading back top lane, but with the wave where it is, should be able to grab too much. Second Dragon, you get the full mountain slaying trifecta there of these early objectives. Didn't get the feats of warfare, obviously, so now it's going to come down to that first turret. That was just really well done. Especially want to give shout-outs. Voltaic Viper, the flash at the very last moment to dodge the Tidal Wave, and then Chubby Chernobyl holding on to so much, landing a double beat drop to snare both Ricks and Traxxon to stop that continued engagement, and then immediately able to follow up, land all the damage. So really, really well done in what was a very stressful situation where this could have started really snowballing out of control.
Oh, but getting out of control, Akira Menai from those 3 kills around the grubs earlier, already sitting on that Blackfire Torch, does so much damage, and straight up to the top lane. Dahmer's in trouble. Cataclysm goes down, will just be able to dash away. No harm, no foul for the Renekton.
Yeah, had Flash coming up too when that gank started, so wasn't too worried. Was smart to just get out of there with the lowest cooldowns possible. Party in the top lane, both junglers are there and waiting. And thing to mention, all those kills early going on to Mel. Only target you would have preferred over Mel would have been the Sivir, but the whole time that there's been all this chaos, all this fighting, Sivir has just quietly been bottom lane farming up a storm, and this is a new build. As just
I Wildstar going to force the flash out of Dahmer, but going to have to flash away themselves as Dragon and Out shows himself on the mat and on the top side, and it's going to be a trade of flashes there in the top lane.
Yeah, not the worst trade in the world is Jax. You're pretty mobile. The Leap Strike is a relatively low cooldown, so not afraid to trade flash for flash in a winning matchup there. Makes Renekton's life a lot harder, as you typically want to be able to use Slice and Dice for damage, as it has an armor shred function, so you're not going to want to save that for the disengage. So it is going to make that 1v1 better. Now ballooning up to a 20 gold lead, and the gold lead I want to mention, bot lane up to 20 as well, above 20.
Wildstar going to look for the all-in once again. Dahmer taking very low. Leap Strike simply available. Hops forward. Wildstar gets yet another solo kill. And at this point, Wildstar just styling on Dahmer this game.
Yeah, I think they know they're dead. They're either going to have to teleport out or just try and stick around. And
Dragon out here. We'll use the Glacial Prison. Won't land, but we'll be able to get that damage on the backside. Wildstar just in no position to retreat.
Yeah, but did get another flash out of Dragon, so that is a pretty decent pickup for what was going to be a sure death no matter what. Not really sure if it was worth it for them to die there. I'm not sure what the shutdown was at, if there even was one. But Sejuani already kind of has maximum items.
I didn't know Rix was there. Tries to use that to get the pink ward down, but just too much damage nearby for the side of White Lotus Wisteria, and that's yet another kill going into the hands of 4G Esports Vanguard.
Yeah, both these junglers playing so effectively, being so proactive, and that's exactly what you want to see when you draft these champions. Sejuani, obviously, at level, theoretically at level 1, has access to a really effective CCing ability, also giving movement. Jarvan, level 2, has access to movement and CC. They can get any lane accelerated so early, both of them doing so with frequent appearances top and bot. And then they don't even have to, or at least for Rix, it doesn't even have to show up mid because Mel is just so far ahead. Has the completed Merc Treads, completed Sork Shoes, same first item as Aurelion Sol, but's had it for much longer now and constantly poking out what is a very low-range champ, as I think wisely here, Wisteria looking to flip the map at least to try and get this Rift Herald. And it goes to show you how well controlled they are macro and mental wise, because starting to get pushed down in this game, don't have the scaling advantage whatsoever, but they're continuing to find these opportunities to take objectives with absolutely no contest whatsoever. And as of right now, it doesn't look like Vanguard are going to get anything for this except for maybe kill a couple wards in the bottom side.
Yeah, the one thing, one of the best things White Lotus Wisteria has done, one thing that none of the other teams have really shown as much, is the ability to time out these objectives. A lot of the lane Rift's going to flag Dragon, and from Canada flashing away. So that will be the first tower picked up from the Rift Herald. So feats of strength going over the side of White Lotus Wisteria.
Yeah, it is going to be a really massive pickup. These boots buffs have become much more meaningful and making them a lot more impactful. It also helps you later on in a game, seeing as this one, been pretty moderate speed as we get into this dragon fight with Wildstar here. You don't want to give up soul point in this moment, but having that extra 500 gold to be able to spend is really important.
Be in trouble. Flag drag, not going to land the knock up, but everything drops down. Sky's Sin going to do a decent amount of damage, just enough to find the kill onto Rix. And now the Wildstar will get the kill onto Chubby Chernobyl, but Voltaic Viper also picking up Helium Bamboo on the back, and so early advantage to the side of White Lotus Wisteria. That's going to be Traxon going down, but we're going to look over to the top side. Wildstar doing really good for themselves as well, but it's a 1v3 now. It's just a little bit too much for Wildstar, or is it? The counter strike comes through. It's not quite enough. Akira Minai tries to get the response on the back, and the burn is just enough with the ult to be able to get the kill onto the Sejuani. But it comes at the cost of Akira Minai's life, and that will most likely be the Drake going over to the side of White Lotus Wisteria.
It was so unfortunate. They don't have the damage or the health right now to take it. They're going to back, but so unfortunate. Rix tries to land the flag drag flash combo onto Canadia, but doesn't get it, and now they're just so deep into enemy territory. Deal with all of the CC, get taken down, and now it's immediately a 4v5. And then throughout the course of the fight, it looked like an easy Wisteria win, but Wildstar was able to pick up the kill on Canadia and push back Voltaic Viper. But it seemed like there was some miscommunication between Akira Manai and Wildstar, because, I mean, Akira Manai had tons of damage, still had the ultimate up, and Wildstar had all 3 of their attention for Wisteria, but they just couldn't connect. Mel ran way too far away, and looks like just because of those respawn timers, Vanguard are going to take advantage of the tempo and grab the dragon, but still a massive win for Wisteria in getting this, what was a 2,000 gold disadvantage, into now almost a 1,000k gold advantage.
Yeah, I've said, and generally the consensus is that White Lotus Wisteria are the strongest team fighters in the league, and despite those disadvantages, did really well to be able to exploit that one slight error from Rick, to turn that fight strongly into their favor. I will say, though, there is a lot of that gold lead does come from the fact that, I mean, that's just the 2 towers right there. For Esports Vanguard don't have any themselves. A lot of that is that standing gold. That top lane tower is also kind of sitting quite low, could go down pretty soon, and I should suspect that unless things start to go really far south for Esports Vanguard, that it'll turn around relatively, or even up relatively soon.
Yeah, and we don't have any sort of impending turrets going down unless Wildstar pushes this in, but I doubt it. Opting to just back, assumes that there's going to be some pressure on the top side as Otacon spawns up there. Looks like there is a general movement from Forge Esports Vanguards towards this top side. You've got bot transition into mid. Mel is bot lane, but doesn't have access to the teleport, whereas Canadia does. Would be able to join a fight. We've already seen how effective Wisteria have been this game when they have that teleport advantage. So if Canadia can join an Otacon fight, it would be huge, as now Sivir's the target.
We'll try to find Draxon, and it's not going to be Spell Shield as Glacial Pinch and lands layered by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and that's ADC found out. Teleport from Wildstar in, we'll try to find Voltaic Viper, but the exhaust comes down, makes sure that the damage just isn't there, and it's full retreat for the side of 4H Esports Vanguard, but the Sky's Descent will stun up both Wildstar and Helium Bamboo. Just not quite enough damage available to take them down, though.
Yeah, again, just really good coordination, and something to mention on this patch. Kraken Slayer receives some pretty massive buffs as Dahmer's in trouble.
Going to be using the double dash to get out of there for now. Wildstar actually looking kind of low. Going to be a little bit more careful. Uses the jump forward to find Sun onto Dahmer, but these health bars are looking very low for Forge Esports. Here, Manai going to not snare up. It's going to be snare up Dahmer. It's flashed. And that's going to be the kill going onto this Renekton as he gets away once again. And yet, just another kill going on the side of White Lotus Wisteria on a very nice pick. Actually, wait, pause, hold that, and we'll throw it over to you because Rick's also in trouble getting stunned, but using the flag and drag to get out as White Lotus Wisteria turns straight onto the Otacon.
Yeah, again, just really great mental fortitude. Dahmer just getting absolutely dumpstered during the early game, but knows that Seraphine is there, doesn't flinch at all the members. Now, it's a 4K, could be a steal angle here.
That is here, will use all, and that is stolen by Rix. Will get the Otacon with the flag drag to get into range, but the fight isn't over. Wildstar taking a decent chunk of damage from the Ashe. Cataclysm tries its way onto dragging it out, but there's range there, so it will be Rix with the Buyer's Remorse. Wildstar also in full retreat. That's going to be thrill kills over to the side of White Lotus Wisteria, potentially for Akira Manai. Finally goes down, triple kill for Voltaic Viper.
I tried to say it earlier, Kraken Slayer got pretty big buffs, and mostly against champions not building any armor, mostly against squishy champions, and this Ashe is a massive problem now, doing so much damage compared to Traxon, only on an item and BF sword, and even in that fight, really struggled to find any angles, consistently getting outranged by this Seraphine Ashe combination. Can't walk forward without just pretty much giving their life over. Really well done. Obviously, the early smite by Dragon left it at around 300 HP, so Rick's easily able to grab that. But I mean, if you're Wisteria, you'll take that any day. You're like, all right, yeah, sure, they do get Otacon, but we were able to wipe them. Pretty decent deal. Only one left is Nami, sitting on the Imperial Mandate. Really needs to get towards this Mikhail's Blessing. Going to be so difficult for them to fight when Wildstar, Akira Manai, Traxon consistently are getting CC'd. Even with, you know, access to the Spell Shield, access to the rebuttal, they're still consistently getting hit by the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, by the Encore, by the Falling Star, the Glacial Prison. I mean, all of it. It's just too much to be able to block with only 2 abilities.
And speaking of stuff to block, we might have to see if those abilities will come through first and get their full value, as it looks like this dragon isn't going to go down without a fight. If it does go to the side of White Lotus Wisteria, it is potentially sole point for them. White Lotus Wisteria moving back off this streak. And so will 4G Sports for the time being.
We'll take that as a win. We forced you guys to reset it. That's fine. Traxon doing a good job clearing that ward out. But still, I mean, this Sivir is just so far behind, sitting on only that Yuntal's, at least probably giving them 25% crit at this point, but just so much less damage output than what Ashe is capable of on this 2-item spike. And with the Kraken Slayer, Phantom Dancer, just so much attack speed. Reminder, for Ashe, doesn't have regular crits. The crits are all of her auto attacks deal a little bit more than base, and crits just amplify the slow. So when you have these combinations and you're just firing those volleys and that Ranger's focus autos, so much with Dahmer might be caught.
Dahmer, Cataclysm not going to be used, knowing that Dahmer could easily get out of it after that dash is available, going low. I believe Akira Manai doesn't quite have the execute range on the ultimate, but it's a lot committed, and so with that in mind, White Lotus Wisteria immediately turned onto the Drake to try to burn it down, but it's just not quite fast enough to take it. Drake now sitting on 3k HP as the rest of White Lotus Wisteria back off of it, and now it's probably should go to the side of 4G Esports as they claim that, and White Lotus Wisteria get out.
Wow, really impressive for Vanguard to be able to grab that. They go for the kill in the mid lane. They aren't able to get it, so instead they just start taking the dragon. And once they get into the pit, you saw their dragon got hit by the Aqua Prison, wasn't able to walk back in. They're respecting Vanguard an awful lot, and I don't fully know if they have to right now. I mean, Aurelion Sol is huge. Sejuani should not be able to be killed. Dahmer can just kind of act as a nuisance, and Seraphine, at this point, Redemption, Seeker's Arm Guard. It's going to be so difficult to get rid of this Seraphine anytime soon. I think that Wisteria can play with a lot more confidence, and the more Ocean Dragons given over to Vanguard when you have the scaling Mel and the scaling Sivir, who is eventually going to get some real items, you know, this could potentially flip at any moment. Now the Infinity Edge completed for Sivir.
A big moment. Those crits will be doing a decent amount more damage, but for those to be able to do damage, for those ricochets to really start hitting hard, it does require Traxon to be able to get in quite close. Now, On the Hunt does allow for that with a bit more ease with all that move speed, but there's still a lot of CC, a very lot of easily applicable CC from the side of White Lotus Wisteria for Traxon to deal with, trying to get in close to be able to do that damage, so it's not quite the most ideal scenario for the Sivir just yet.
Yeah, it's going to consistently be difficult throughout the course of the game. That's why they really need Wildstar and Rix to not focus on diving. It's a very critical step in the communication when you're playing out these team fights, that someone has got to let Wildstar and Rix know your plan cannot be to try and dive their backline, because Sivir and Mel can easily front to back, especially with the Shadow Flame coming through for Mel. You can win team fights like that, because you just have to kill Sejuani and Renekton. If they die, Aurelion Sol, Ashe, and Seraphine all have to run. So as long as Jarvan and Jax do not focus on diving and leave their carries behind, Vanguard have a chance at coming back into this. But for now, I think Wisteria can really just hold firm. They have a better front line as well. Wildstar flashes over it.
Will find the 2 stuns on the counter strike, but there's just no one really nearby, and the teleport from Dammer comes through, trying to turn this around for the side of White Lotus Wisteria. The counter punch is there. Traxxas going low. The Cataclysm will drop from Dammer to slow that advance. And the Redemption heals up the rest of White Lotus Wisteria. Sky's Descent. It's going to be Forge Esports getting very low. Akira Manai going to have to flash over the wall. Akira Manai will be taken down by Chubby Chernobyl. So the first kill going over to the side of White Lotus Wisteria, as White Lotus also looking very healthy in terms of their health bars. Meanwhile, Wildstar and Rix are very low, so it'll be straight over to the Bears for White Lotus Wisteria.
Yeah, getting that kill, or before getting that kill, the blue buff was taken, so Seraphine has blue buff, can easily just continue to use that surround sound to give heals. Seraphine's healing scales off of how many people she's healing, so incredible value at a point like this. The Baron secured for Wisteria, and that fight, it was just an example of what Vanguard cannot do with their game state. They don't have the damage to go for these angles, to go for these picks, especially when Akira Manai is not there. Mel is about half of your entire team's damage, so you can't afford to try and fight anything without Mel being present. I'm not sure exactly what that next item is going to be for Akira Manai. I'm hoping that it's just a flat Rabadons. We just need to try and get as much damage as possible. Really need to see some sort of armor pen come for Sivir next. Obviously going for the Flicker Blade right now is what's most likely being built. I actually wouldn't hate if there was a pivot to something like a rapid fire cannon. I know that Flicker Blade feels great on Sivir, is probably the best option in most games, but having such a difficult time.
In trouble here. I don't know if Chubby Chernobyl is there. Will reflect that E, but that's not really the main ability you want to be stopping, as in Akira Manai is just collapsed on. Nothing they can really do there in the 4v1. It's going to be yet another kill for White Lotus Wisteria and another tower.
And another dragon in 10 seconds that Akira Manai won't be alive for until 30 seconds after it's dead. This is a pretty terrible timer to get killed on, and again, really huge shout out to Wisteria for seizing that moment, seeing Mel's bottom lane, knowing that they're alone, knowing how quickly they can get that kill. Wildstar responds tower-wise on the top side, but now Soul Point is achieved for Wisteria. Back on track with these dragons. Infinity Edge for Ashe. That's a lot of damage that's going to come out from this champ now. And Aurelion Sol going towards the Liandry's Torment, going to be pretty obnoxious for the Jarvan and Jax. Can't really afford to dive in deep or frontline at that point because of how much burn damage you're going to take from the Blackfire. As no!
So arrow finds its way onto the Nami. Helium Bamboo is not long for this world. Dragon out going to be able to pick up that kill, and yet another tower goes over the side of White Lotus Wisteria as they continue their march to the FEV base. Wait, Wildstar might have something to say about this though, using that teleport. Just not quite going to have the angle to go in.
No, he's just being menacing. He's teleporting in as a zoning mechanic, as a zoning teleport. I was a bit unfortunate for Traxxas there. Popped the spell shield, but instead of eating the arrow, walked out of the way and led Helium Bamboo to getting hit by it. Good follow-up by the rest of Wisteria, as we see in what could be some of the final fights as Wisteria collect themselves for either another push or waiting for Barons and Dragons. Looks like Mel certainly going for the Rabadon's Death Cap, picking up that second needlessly large rod. Full Liandry's Torment completed on the other side. And Sejuani's picked up a Thornmail at this point. So it's going to be incredibly difficult for anyone not named Akira Manai to really stack up damage against this Sejuani. And I love the itemization here from Dahmer, understanding when you're playing a Renekton, you're playing any AD bruiser regardless of what role you're playing. After you get those first 2 items, you're not really going to see any meaningful damage increase on the rest of your itemization, so it's much more efficient to just go for tank options, try and enhance the other aspects of your kit. That's what Jax does with the Zanya's third item. It also gives a little bit extra damage on hit with that Empower W. So I like the Spirit Visage, also going to play very well into the Mel damage, and I'd like to see what Ashe is doing here too, going for a Bloodthirster. Like I said, the crits aren't as impactful for her.
This could be what for Esports in a lot of trouble, but that's going to be the Encore reflected, but isn't enough for Akira Minai. Going low, going down. Dahmer's there, finds the kill, and all there's left in this bottom lane is Rix, who's taking very low voltaic. Viper with the Qs dealing a bunch of damage there. Traxon going towards the flash out of voltaic Viper, but that's going to be Wildstar jumping onto the ADC of WLW. Now Wildstar is in the backside of the team, but not quite going to be able to get the rest of White Lotus. Wisteria finds the stun onto Dahmer with the counter strike, but not much else. 1 for 2 over to the side of White Lotus Wisteria, as well as a few towers.
Yeah, that was very good for Vanguard, all things considered. Yes, they do lose an additional member, but 1,000 gold went into the pocket of this Jax. And I'm hoping to see a defensive item, or at least a health-based item. We see that drill coming through, so hopefully going to be something like a Sterix or something that can give some more survivability. And now, hoping that Sivir, if you're a Vanguard fan, can pick up at least the Last Whisper component, going towards either a Lord Dominik's or a Mortal Reminder. Ashe, I thought for sure it was going to be a Bloodthirster with that BF sword, but going towards the Guardian Angel, I like this itemization as well, because you're just making sure that with all of the damage you possess at 8-1 and 8, they can't just insta-kill you, take you out of a fight. Now it's going to be nearly impossible for there to be a moment where Wisteria doesn't have an enormous amount of damage. It looks like what Vanguard are trying to posture for is some sort of a trade, with there only being about 40 seconds in between the two objectives. They postured heavy topside to be able to contest Baron, but now Rix is caught out.
I believe the flag and drag to hop away will be alright for now. But with Wildstar in this bottom lane without access to teleport, it means that the numbers advantage is over the side of White Lotus Wisteria, and they'll move straight onto this Baron, which they absolutely burn down without any sort of contest from the side of 4G Esports. It will be Baron to White Lotus Wisteria, and they're not done just yet. Right now, hopping forward, trying to find some sort of CC onto Rix. Now, Glacial Person finds its way. The flag drag, it doesn't matter. Oh my god, the Sky's Descent damage does so much. Akira Minai just deleted by this A-Soul. And I thought I did not expect Akira Minai to disappear so quickly, and with that, it will mean that is almost certainly going to be the soul over the side of White Lotus Wisteria.
I actually thought that Vanguard missed a big opportunity. Once Dahmer teleported out, they had a brief numbers advantage. Rix steals it!
He's done it again! Going to flash away, potentially be able to survive. Looking kind of low for now. Rix, potentially. I mean, he's still relatively healthy. Dragonaut's the only one chasing Rix down. We'll be able to have access to that flying drag. Good sidestepping there. Not going to be slowed. Canadia and the rest of the side of WLW is here, but the counter punch from Wildstar finds his way onto Chubby Chernobyl. Chubby Chernobyl probably surely going to go down, going to use that Seeker's arm guard stay alive a little bit longer, but it's not going to matter. Chubby Chernobyl going to get shut down by Wildstar, and on the backside, okay, the flanking Mel is not exactly the champion you expect to see from behind, but there it is. Akira Minai with the teleport behind the enemy lines of White Lotus Wisteria, and that's going to be yet another shutdown picked up by 4G Sports Vanguard. Importantly, it goes on to Traxon.
And Voltaic Viper was never a part of any of that. Was mid lane pushing, didn't get the inhib turret, didn't get the inhib, backed off, now is just taking jungle camps. That was a massive fight for Vanguard. I thought they had made a mistake at the very beginning by not fighting after the Baron. They had a numbers advantage, and they had two members caught, isolated from the rest of their team with Traxon there, but they don't pull the turn. Rix is able to get out. And then, after losing a couple members, Rix with an incredible Dragon Steal, second objective steal of the game, able to drag out the fight for so long, pull Dragon all the way towards the bottom lane, force out all those spells, no flash used in the chase, and then they're turning it around, getting big kills onto Akira Minai, who had a great teleport, a kill onto Traxon, more gold onto Wildstar, almost full build now. So they can, that bought them a lot of time to just kind of breathe and get some CS, try and match the items 4 items for Sivir now, so much damage now available to Sivir. Mel has the Rabadons going towards Void Staff. Jarvan's starting to get some tank items. This is really big. Still no Mikhails, but now the Moonstone Renewer means better healing for Nami. And we're getting to the point in the game where the gold lead's not as impactful. Once you start getting all of these items, gold starts to mean less and less. So it's going to come down to these massive objectives in around 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, we'll have to take a few moments to have a breather until this Baron and this soul point Drake for both teams comes back up. I'm gonna get a few moments for that, but I do also like Trax and behind that healing would die. Oh wait, hold on, Wildstar will be hit by the catch because of arrow, going to use that Zanya's, but that's going to be the encore reflected as Traxon gets the kill into Chubby Chernobyl. A great reflection from Akira Menai, and that's going to be 2 kills immediately turned back by the side of Canada, so it's not over just yet, but we're getting a look on Voltaic Viper, left completely isolated by their team, shut down, getting picked up by Wildstar, who's in a bit of trouble themselves potentially on the backside of this map. Going to be separated from Traxon. Traxon now arriving, Wildstar and Traxon doing tons of damage onto the Sejuani, but it's also Canada who does so much damage at this point as well. Canada picking up yet another kill. The damage from this Acel is so massive. Double kill for Canada, turning this fight around. It's a 4-for-4 trade of kills in this fight.
I'm glad that Canada was able to fully showcase how incredibly well they played that fight at the very beginning. It was a great engage by Vanguard. Not only do they use Rebuttal to push back the Encore, they hit the tidal wave. Rix gets a great Cataclysm, but Canada uses the Cataclysm against them, puts down the Singularity, puts down this Falling Star ultimate, and just rips them to shreds with the Breath of Light. And immediately, it forces Vanguard to play the fight so differently. Wildstar does get a good flank and takes out Voltaic Viper, but without being able to get onto Canada, it's just so difficult for them to actually win these fights. Flash.
Going to flash away, importantly, right as this Drake is spawning in 30 seconds. So Chubby Chernobyl not going to have access to one tool that they can use to escape. Does still have the Zanya's Hourglass, though.
Yeah, it's really important that they get some vision control here. Otherwise, Wisteria can just completely choke them out of this entire quadrant. Still can't face them head on. Rix could be caught out here.
The only finds Rix out here.
No rebuttal.
Going to not have the rebuttal. Uses that earlier. That's going to be the Mel going down very early. That is a massive kill for White Lotus Wisteria right as the dragon spawns. And such a key one, too. This is soul for either side if it gets picked up.
But they don't see Rix. They don't see Wildstar. They don't have any vision in the pit, though. They now use the blue trinket.
Oh my goodness, he's done it again! I don't believe it! Rick steals the soul! He's probably going to die as a result, but it's still Rick's going to pick that up. Wildstar also in a bit of trouble, but Wildstar, what can they do? Can they delay for this as long as possible? Counter-strike comes through, stuns up for it. Wildstar finds their way onto Canada. Canada going to flash away as a response. Zanya's comes out from Wildstar. Again, the Counter-Strike doing so much. Another stun. Wildstar picks up the kill to Voltaic Viper. Can they find Chubby Chernobyl? Not with the Zanyas, but Wildstar doing so much in the 1v4. Buys time for the rest of the team to try to find kill onto Dahmer. Now Traxon will be able to pick up that killing spree there.
Although the Meek just doesn't do any healing. Great Aqua Prison. I mean, just such a disaster in every way for both teams in the end. Wildstar is able to kind of right the ship. It should have just been the steal of the dragon. Jarvan elected to flash out of the pit. No real chance they were ever going to get out of that, so I probably wouldn't have suggested using that cooldown, but great steal. Gives them Ocean Soul. Makes it so much more difficult to be killed in these long fights. But, you know, that's considering a pretty even game state. Right now, they have a full item Aurelion Soul, who's going to deal so much damage if not focused. And I feel like we've kind of forgotten because of the way the last couple fights have played out. This Ashe is still massive, dealing so much damage, not even full build yet. Good pickup there of that Scuttle Crab going to give them really good permanent vision of this Baron that cannot be swept away. Gives them some security to take these camps.
Speaking of Ashe or Voltaic Viper, they do have the Guardian Angel coming back up fairly soon as well. That will be an extra level of survivability, that extra amount of time that if Wildstar can be isolated, which is really how White Lotus Wisteria have won these fights earlier, is isolating Rix and Wildstar from the rest of the Forge Esports team. We'll be able to buy them a little bit more time, that little bit extra chance potentially to separate this team into two distinct parts.
Yeah, now full build for Sivir has the Bloodthirster, giving some more survivability. They have to find a way back in, and luckily, the Death Brush is spotted. They know that they're waiting for them. They're planning an ambush. No sweeper for that Banana Brush. Now they will see the ward, but they have access to the Scuttle Crab still for a good amount of time. They haven't been able to find a really good front-to-back fight, but they can execute so easily. Frontline caught out here.
Flag trap will find Dominus going to dash away for now. Encore will be reflected. Charms up 3. The tidal wave also going to do so much, but Canada starts out this fight with a kill, and still is Azel, who's alive, dealing a bunch of damage, but Forge Esports Vanguard still feeling quite alright by it. That will be the Awkward Prison finding play on Canada, and it's going to be full retreat for White Lotus Wisteria. Canada can't stay around. There's just too much damage in the vicinity, and Forge Esports Vanguard, despite not finding the key target of Canada that we looked out for, doesn't matter. They get the kills. They pick up 3 with only Rix going down, but importantly, Dragging It Out is still alive as they have turned on to the Baron. There is the Smite still available for White Lotus Wisteria. Dragging It Out going to be having to dash away for now. But that does mean that there's still not a lot of taking this in and around this Baron. Dragging It Out getting fairly low. Wildstar doing a lot of damage, but Canada has arrived to help out his jungler. Wildstar now taking a ton of damage to hop onto Canada. That's the target he wants. Can he find the kill? The Zanya just comes down, but the healing from this Jax is enough. Gets the kill onto Canada. Oh my goodness! Wildstar somehow doesn't die! And that's going to be the Baron, and yet another 2 kills for Wildstar, staggering those respawns and potentially maybe an end.
I mean, that is the real consequences faced by Dragon there, thinking, how the hell can I not kill this Jax? Why can't we 2v1 him? And it's because he has Ocean Soul. He's just sitting there with the Counter-Strike up, healing for as much magic damage as they can put out. So well done by Wildstar. Even if they had gone down, even if they had died, it would have been worth it because they were able to push off those members from Wisteria from the Baron. Now Wildstar selling their boots for the Frozen Heart, fully understanding that this game, we are in the end game here. Mel is trying to build his Zanyas, has that most important component. Redemption built for Nami. Seraphine has some decent extra items there to deal some more damage, but I feel like Seraphine, you really have to commit to one or the other. And still, Ashe, sitting on that component item, does not have that final item, whether it's going to be, I think Bork is one of the items that builds out of that. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure what that last item could be going into. I only know that item for going to Kraken Slayer. But, I mean, Sejuani is huge, Aurelion Sol is huge. Looks like we're going into some Chempunk Chainsword action for Renekton here with 25 seconds until Elder Dragon. I mean, that has to be what closes this game out.
I mean, surely we've gone on for 47 minutes now. Oh my God!
Perfect.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's absolutely one way to bait us. To pause at the most climactic moment with Elder Drake spawning in 16 seconds. Oh, wait, no, we're back. It's a very momentary pause. Obviously, spectator stuff. We're going to have this brief delay. I mean, you could not have had a more, like, tempting pause timer on that from these two teams. We're going to sit around a little bit longer for this game to get back going, but when it does, we should expect that this next fight will be a absolutely critical one.
Yeah, 2 Frozen Hearts now for Vanguard. This is just for when you watch. This is the Riot pause after a player pause on the spectator. Good positioning here to get some damage.
Snare up, Dragging It Out. Still not going to be a lot of damage available, and actually on this top side of the map,
Meanwhile,
Wildstar probably does win these 1v1s. Both teleports are available for these two top laners if they try to go to either side. Wildstar will find the stun. Doing a decent amount of training onto Dombers. The Enchantress Arrow finds its way onto Mel. Doesn't get reflected, but the tidal wave separates the team and picks up 2. But the Skies Ascend does so much damage. Is enough? Rick's going low, going down. But Canada is still alive. But it doesn't matter. No matter how much damage this Aurelion Soul can do, it's just not enough for the auto attacks for Traxon this late on. And that will most certainly be game 1 to Forge Esports Vanguard.
Damn your 300 CS Sivers. Try 480 CS Siver. Struggled so much. Was so gapped by Voltaic Viper, but they held firm. They stayed strong. They continued finding their angles.
Won't matter, but yeah. Sorry, the interruption. Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Incredible. This is game 1. And for our first match, Vanguard will throw the first punch in what is sure to be an incredible best of 3.
I mean, this one was the one that was circled on the calendar for the last 2 weeks. This was the matchup that everyone was looking forward to. The one that we even had to request to switch over to. That I wasn't realized that myself personally didn't realize it was switch over to, but I am very happy that this is the match that we're bringing to you this week because it has started off with drama and absolute cinema straight away.
I mean, this is one of the things I love about watching any sport. Like, forget about esports, talk about sports in general. When you have two teams that are so evenly matched, it almost doesn't matter what level it is, what rank they are. It doesn't matter because they are so evenly matched. And having it not be fearless, I think that actually gives this a bit of a nostalgic edge where, like, the Jax is still going to be available. How are they going to adapt to that? I feel like Aurelion Soul is something that they should try and avoid. Maybe not ban, but try and not allow Canada to just wreak havoc on so much of the game with that. I think both junglers played extremely well. Just Dragon kind of falling short on some of those smites. Yeah, just an incredible game one. I can't wait for the next ones.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how the rest of this series pans out. If you're just tuning in, it is Forge Esports Vanguard taking game 1 over White Lotus Wisteria. But when we come back, we'll bring you the draft of this incredible series.